Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, A-list thugged, aka White Boy D-Voice, aka another racially ambiguous goiper, and I'm here to tell you that Jesus loves you and that Christ is King, unfortunately among many other terrible things. And good show for you guys today, a lot to get into, a lot is happening. Actually kind of mind-blowing how much is happening, to be honest with you. So, to start off the top, again, I gotta get rid of the glasses. To start off at the top, we have a kind of a developing incident that happened in the last couple of hours, and that was that Chud the Builder was apparently shot on stream, and he did fire back in a self-defense shooting incident, so it would appear. That's obviously going to be largely talked about, I would imagine, through today, through tomorrow, and through the next couple of days, and it's kind of, you could say the timing of it's kind of impeccable, to be honest with you. The timing of Chud the Builder and the violence element, I think, actually is a supplemental element, if you will, to this kind of, what would you say, between the argumentation on the violence element being this component being necessary. You know, there is no political solution, violence, etc. And so, you know, with the strategy of Chud the Builder, I think many people on the Groiper side of the aisle, myself included, have offered up criticism to the way that Chud has kind of carried himself, putting himself in very vulnerable positions. Now, I would say this at the beginning too, you know, there's also this element that supposedly they killed his dog the night prior, or either earlier this morning. I'm unsure on the timeline itself. House is saying that he shot himself while shooting the other guy at last he heard. I did also see that there is a Discord screenshot going around that I noticed as well too. And that's what the person in the, assuming one of the moderators, somebody close in the community, said that that's the belief right now, is that he might have accidentally shot himself. I think the other report I saw said that he shot the other individual in the stomach and grazed him in the head. Unsure what the statuses are on both of them. I think Chud is going to be okay because apparently, and right now, because it's supposed to be 4 p.m. Central, Harrison Smith is having Chud the Builder on Alex Jones' show. So we'll take a look at that if we get a chance to go zoom in and see what Chud the Builder has to say there. I'm sure the clips will be flowing out later as we get through the show. The other item that's also happening at the exact same time, 5 p.m. Eastern, is that apparently that Jake Paul, Clavicular, and JD Vance are doing a combo stream, and that's going to be hosted by Clavicular on Kick. We'll check that out here later on. We'll react to it, see where they are with that. Very curious. I think Nick's kind of also offered up his takes on where Clavicular is, and I would have to agree with him. Clavicular seemingly is just fully compromised now at this point, I would say. And, you know, he's kind of had his drop-off, if you will, from his kind of run. But it looks like he's buddying up with all of the wrong people. Now, I've not spent much time actually covering any of this. I think the last time I really spent time talking about Clavicular was when he was okay. He was seemingly just not, you know, pissing people off or doing terrible things. But since then, he's basically become an OnlyFans pimp. You know, he signed this girl by the name of, her name is like Piper Raquel or something like that. Very, very young girl. You know, he's doing these sit downs with Alice Rosenbaum talking about, do you want to meet the guy who gave you $2 million? And like all of this, again, obviously pushing degeneracy, giving a platform for these OnlyFans chicks. He's doing some justice in the element of making fun of the guys who put money into this, but overall it's just been a big negative. But it is curious because when I saw initially, it was just a graphic of Jake Paul and Clavicular. And then like an hour or two later, I see one of Clavicular JD Vance and Jake Paul. Now it's concerning because Jake Paul was recently also endorsed by Donald Trump, which I still can't even. I feel like that's not real. I feel like that was like a Mandela effect. Like, does anyone else remember that, or was like that just me? Like, is that an actual real event that happened in this timeline? Like, I really can't believe that. But supposedly it did. So it looks like Clavicular is all about pushing for Vance, and which is crazy because where we are right now, and if you remember, Clavicular said that he would never vote for Vance because he's fat, he doesn't mog, all of these things, but now he's going to platform JD Vance here. JD Vance also gave comments earlier today as well too about 2 p.m., but I could not be bothered to tune in to listen to what he had to say, so I guess we'll wait to see more on the breakdown of that. But at least JD Vance is now, he's out in the open. He has appeared before us. He's come to do things, and it's nothing to do with anything important. It's going on a Clavicular stream, so lovely stuff there from him. In addition to that, it looks like Clavicular is just doing content together with the Paul brothers, because he also did the whatever you call Logan Paul's podcast. It's Impulsive, I believe is the name of it. He sat down with Logan Paul and Mike Majik, whatever his name is, the guy who is dating the wet leftovers of the porn industry, Lana Rhoades, I do believe that's still a thing. They had to sit down there, and it was, base level content, if you will. I think the clip that I saw was Clavicular told Logan Paul he doesn't have to add Max to the end of everything, because Logan was kind of making fun of Clavicular's usage of the language. So that's what's coming out so far. So we have that at the same time as well too. And there's other things happening that are very important today. Those things are a bit maybe on the cultural side of the aisle. The Chud the Builder stuff we'll get into in a minute, but we're just going to run through more of what we're actually looking at today. In terms of the Iran war, we have some level of development, but I'm really just going to piggyback off of where we were at with Nick, and just to kind of give you a summary of what he kind of explored yesterday on the show America First, was we covered a New York Times article that took a deeper look at the Iran's military capabilities. And what they're looking at was an intelligence assessment that was made at the beginning of April that we are now getting details of in the middle of May. And the reason why it's important to remember the timeline of this is because the intelligence was assessed again at the beginning of April, which is only weeks removed from a comment made by Donald Trump and many others talking about how weakened the military was and the capability of Iran was. And they are still very much capable. So some of the numbers on that, to be very specific on this in this New York Times intelligence report, just to repeat again, that Iran still has access to 30 of its 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz. Very specifically, those important because those are the ones that would be able to enforce anything in the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So 30 of 33 doesn't sound like we took out too many of these missile sites. And they also note that that was the most alarming item in the intelligence report. And they also have this little snippet here talking about how now there's a very clear difference in the what Trump is asserting versus what's actually real. So I'll read you a snippet of the article. On March 9th, 10 days into the war, Mr. Trump told CBS News that Iran's missiles are down to a scatter, and the country had nothing left in a military sense. Mr. Hegseth declared at a Pentagon news conference on April 8th, which is around when the intelligence assessment was made, that Operation Epic Fury, the joint U.S.-Israel campaign launched on February 28th, had decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. Now here's the important part. Again, keeping that timeline in mind, the intelligence describing Iran's remaining military capacity is dated less than a month after that news conference. So obviously the idea is that Iran does not have magical abilities to rebuild missile sites. It is just that the assertions, much we had known this, but now we had a bit more confirmation on this, the assertions from Donald Trump were actually completely false and were much more exacerbated and hyperbolic than what they actually were. Now, it wasn't actually just that either. The intelligence assessment also goes on to say that Iran can still also field about 70% of its mobile launchers. Now, these are the ones that can basically be attached to a truck, attached and hitched up to some kind of moving vehicle of any kind, and be repositioned. Not like you can hook it up to a hatchback, Civic, but it would need to be some powerful vehicle that could be able to move it. 70% of those are still available across the country. And they go furthermore that Iran has retained 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile, and the majority of which of those are ballistic missiles, and some of those, a smaller supply, are cruise missiles, which have a bit more of sea capability. And then beyond that, and it just keeps going, Beyond that, Iran has regained access to roughly 90% of its underground missile storage and launch facilities nationwide, which they assess to be partially or fully operational. So what you have here is that Iran has retained a vast amount of its military capabilities. And I think the reason that it's important is because if you compare that to the information we have about our own missile defense system and our own missile capacity storages, what we have left, it's starting to paint a very dark picture in which the United States seemingly is unable to keep up with the rate of fire that is occurring inside of the war. Thus, the ceasefire seems like it maybe almost helped us more than it helped Iran. And again, what you have to remember is during the heat of the battle, when a lot of the, every country in the Middle East is sending rockets out, one of the reports that came out, and Nick talked about this, was that the fire rate for some of these defense systems was as low as 20%. And again, just to paint a picture for you there, that would mean that we are firing 5 defense systems for 1 ballistic missile, with the chance of 4 of those are going to miss, and hopefully 1 will hit them. And in some cases, it was much better fire rate. Some of those, it was much, much worse, or interception rate, I guess I should say. Now, what's crazy about this article, too, is Olivia Wales is a White House spokesperson, and she's quoted saying this inside the article, which I find to be literally insane. So Olivia Wales was asked about these intelligence assessments, and so she just basically repeats what Trump had said, that the Iran military had been crushed. But she goes on to say that it was basically virtual treason to suggest that Iran's military was doing well. I mean, holy crap. I mean, like when you just see that, right? When you just see the virtual treason, when it's coming from the New York Times, it's like, are we expecting the Trump administration is going to go criminally arrest people at New York Times for treason? I mean, that's just obviously, in my opinion, a very desperate way to paint the fact that we are catching up to what you have been hiding from us. And again, I'll read you this final snippet in the important part of the Iran war. We're not going to spend much time on this at all, but just give you a rehash and update of where we are on this. That the fear, again, is still, and it's being painted very still, about the missile capacity of what we have here in America on all fronts, both offensive and defensive, and defensively maybe more so, because the defensive missile systems are the ones that we are parading around to our allies and being used in Ukraine and, obviously in the Middle East as well, too. So I'll read you the snippet. But the one thing I want to make out that was very clear through the article as I was reading through it was very specifically, they make the point over and over and over again, whether it's General Dan Kane or some other spokesperson for the military or the army or etc. The point they keep making is that we have enough to finish this operation. And that's the line that you can find over and over and over again in that article. We have enough to continue and complete this operation. So they're unwilling to actually add or say anything beyond this operation. It's just that they're adding the confidence and, again, parroting what you would expect from Donald Trump. Zeb, what's up, brother? I forgot you were in here. You reminded me. I have to pull chat. I actually wanted to do this while you're in here. But let me read this snippet first. Let me not distract from all of this. So, quoting, this is at the end of the article here, despite after we have seen multiple times through and through that they are this operation. So what that means for the future or other operations, I think, is yet to be seen. And I think when you look at all the fears, and when you remember back when JD Vance was even inquiring and not trying to step on toes, I think many people even outside of the inner circle there are definitely fearing what trajectory this is going to put us on, and especially what it would do in terms of the overall, the geopolitical. So let me read you this, because this is talking about the rate of replenishing this. So, quote, as the New York Times previously reported, the United States expended roughly 1,100 long-range stealth cruise missiles in the war, close to the total supply that remains in the American stockpile, meaning we've expended basically as much as what we actually have still. The military also fired more than 1,000 Tomahawk missiles, roughly 10 times the number the Pentagon procured in a year, as it used more than 1,300 Patriot interceptor missiles during the war, which accounts for more than 2 years of production at 2025 rates. Replenishing these stockpiles will take years, not months. Lockheed Martin currently produces around 650 Patriot interceptors a year. The company has announced plans to ramp up production of the crucial air defense weapon to 2,000 a year, but doing so will not be easy. and the industry's ability to procure rocket motors cannot be scaled up as quickly as Trump has demanded, officials said. So what we're looking at is we're basically kind of building this delay, or we're baking into the fact that we are going to either have to slow down our rate of warring with other countries, slow down our rate of sending missile systems, and we are really needing in a position to actually replenish our own. Now, this is actually what we're looking at if the war were ending today, and that's just simply not happening. And so you have Iran again, where we are with the negotiations, is they're actually basically unwilling to negotiate any further until we agree to some kind of formal or legal mechanism that ultimately kind of gives them control and sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, that basically contracts in or along inside the negotiation and some part of peace deal that we would give the strait over to Iran. Essentially, we would allow them to charge a fee. We would allow them to make money off of the passage of whoever may come in there. We would allow them to set their own fees, their own rates, which would more than likely mean that all their allied trade partners like China would probably not face any large fee or a very minor one in comparison, and they would probably put high taxes on those who they deem to be not allies. And so this will put a different kind of change on the oil market moving forward, because now this places a bias of, the Iranian bias now on the oil market, which previously didn't exist. And so that'll be something to see develop as we move forward. But I don't imagine the United States is going to be in a position to accept that, nor will want to accept that. So let me move to the other thing that's actually really important that ties into there before I get to Zeb. Because what's also happening, and I'll explain further in detail as we get to it, but there's a massive meeting happening in China. And that happened, it's a summit. So Trump is meeting with Xi Jinping. That's happened earlier today. And a lot of CEOs are going along with. So Elon Musk is also going. You also have like the Boeing CEO, the CEO of MasterCard, the CEO of Visa. You have Larry Fink is going. You have the Blackstone CEO, BlackRock. So many people. And one of the things that was changed last minute was, it was being reported, and I read an article on this earlier. It was reported that the NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, was actually not initially invited. Now, it's important because NVIDIA's like right now is worth more than all the GDPs of like every country except for the United States and China. And part of this is because of their production of the chips. They basically have like a 90% hold or strangle on the chip market. And even beyond there, they are in the development of the H200, I believe is the model number, for a new AI chip. Now, it was reported that he wasn't going to be there, but the first thing I saw in one of the first videos of them getting off the plane there in China was Jensen Huang was like the third or fourth guy coming off of the plane. So the report, and it came from Mario Nafal, at least who I saw it from, was that President Trump basically called him up and said, last minute, we want you to come. And so I'm assuming that must mean that the AI chip is developed, because when I read in the article, the reason why he wasn't coming was because he was staying with the company because the H200 chip was so close to being produced. Now, that's just one side of the story of all these CEOs going. So I think the expectation is that there's going to be some kind of clear and obvious trade and investments going to be negotiated. The expectation leading into this, before it seemingly was reported all these CEOs would be there, was that it would be maybe a moderate or modest meeting. Like the summit would basically continue and extend the temporary kind of trade truce that they have, as well as maybe also talk about the Iran war, what's going on there, and perhaps probably not get anything with it. But what I would imagine is going to happen here is that they are going to talk about the war in Iran. They are going to talk about trade, and they are going to talk about Taiwan. And so they talk about in this article from the New York Times, the 5 Bs and the 3 Ts. But the expectation, I would imagine, because China is obviously clearly not happy with the way that the Iran war has gone, they've said so as much. They've actually pushed out that much as well. They've said they're not happy with Donald Trump's, I'm paraphrasing here, but they basically said they don't appreciate and they condemn Trump's non-committal to international law or irreverence for international law, something to that effect. And so I would imagine that China is actually going to push for the United States to probably back away from Taiwan in exchange for China to negotiate on the U.S.'s behalf to open the Strait of Hormuz. So I would imagine that that's going to be the major geopolitical element that's discussed that involves itself directly with the Iran war. And again, China does buy oil from Iran, so it's not like they are not affected by what's happening here or the outcomes of this at all. So they also add to this too that some analysts looking at this summit are actually looking at it as a way to, in fact, for both sides to buy themselves time, because it seems that each of them, each side is working to reduce their reliance on one another. And I can only really hope. I'm so kind of, I have PTSD from hearing the seeing the headline that 80% of United States pharmaceuticals are produced in China. And, we see that headline in the middle of COVID during the lockdown. It's like, there's, I think, very few headlines can really kind of do that kind of damage to you, because just in a moment you go, holy crap, like we don't make any of that stuff here. And if we were forced to or had to by any reason, or if we were shut off from that, I mean, that's going to spell a lot of damage in a short period of time for America. So we'll spend more time getting into the meeting there in China, but I think very specifically the way it will tie in with the war in Iran is on those elements. And I think specifically if the United States has already pulled missile defense systems from the surrounding areas like South Korea and away from places that would probably be used to help defend Taiwan, the United States is probably less in a position to actually defend Taiwan. So if you were asking me, it would make a lot of sense. Not do I say I agree with it, but it would make a lot of sense for them to just go ahead and say, you know what, we will pull back some of our support for Taiwan. We will kind of walk back a little bit, as long as you're willing to bolster yourself in arguments and negotiations and commit to getting Iran to reopening the Strait of Hormuz without having a mechanism of their sovereignty or their possession of the strait. So be curious to see what we get from there. And obviously, I think all the other CEOs being involved, from Boeing to elsewhere, are more than likely there for investment and are there for, just general kind of trade agreements and such. So, but still kind of wild when you see 16 CEOs at that level. I believe also the Apple CEO is going too. Was his name Tim Cook? Maybe I'm getting that one wrong. But a lot of very powerful CEOs are heading there. One thing I wanted to do though, and I'm curious, we're going to actually kind of change up a little bit, if you will. And that's kind of a summary of some of the stuff we will be talking about today. We're going to get into a bit more of the cultural. And what I would like to know for those who are here is, for one, what did you guys think about the debate that happened yesterday on NAV DMC, the dick measuring contest? Curious what your guys' thoughts were on that. If you liked the format, if you thought Josh moderated well, I'm going to put a poll in the chat here. And I think this is something that we should have done at the end of the debate while we were there last night. You should have put up a poll to ask people who they thought won. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And if you guys didn't see the debate, definitely check it out. It is on NAV Creator Channel. And that was me and Tom Foe versus Zeb Boykin and John Ward. Who won the debate last night? Caleb says, John was clearly drunk. I saw a few of those chats in there. I don't think so. I think that John is just like that. You know what I mean? I think that's just maybe John. That's just John's persona. Let's do this. Zeb and John, right? I can't even type and do a poll because I can't see literally anything. And then I'll do Atlas and Tom. Now let's put it on, and we will see what you guys think. Who won? Poll should be live now, I would imagine. We'll see here. Yeah, I did see a couple people saying Josh was a horrible moderator. I didn't think that. I thought Josh did pretty good, especially for his biases. I would imagine he would be. To be completely honest with you. Actually, clicked the wrong button over here. Of course I did. Gotta get the chat back. What? Forgive me, guys. I gotta put my glasses on. I can't. I literally. Oh, that's brutal. I literally might have just screwed myself on stream. Well, give me a second, guys. This is not going to be fun at all. It's annoying that you can click one wrong button and it'll literally destroy everything. I might have permanently lost the chat if I don't fix this, so apologies, guys. Yeah, I see more chats is coming in. Yeah, glasses, what a nerd. See me, bear with me for 1 second. That's brutal though. Yep, that's gonna not work unless I fix this. And I can't get it to pop out for some reason. There's always something. I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't know what I need to be doing here to make this work. Maybe if I close it and reset it. I want to be able to see your guys' chats and super chats and everything. There we go. Lord have mercy. Turn into Zeb for a second. My God. Okay. Should be back now. It's gonna miss some of those chats, but unfortunately, this is the way it goes sometimes. But okay, we're back. I just wanted to see what the thoughts were of how the debate went. Seemed to get positive reception. I got a message from some guy who was like affiliated with Sky News or something. He said good debate, which I didn't even know who he was. I thought that was kind of funny, but it is what it is, I guess. And I will say, I think the Chud the Builder thing again is very, very timely.
95 has donated $10 and says, "Hey, MR Atlas."
Hey, what's up, brother? I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super chat. I've been seeing you in the group chat, cleaning it up and laying down the law. I appreciate the super chat very much, man. Thank you greatly. And now we know the chat's working though. So cool. I appreciate that. So I guess where we could start, and again, the main kind of featured story of today is what the thumbnail is about. I want to spend time covering this as well too. I think people maybe are getting a bit ahead of themselves on this counterterrorism angle that's been getting pushed by Gorka, and this concept that the administration may begin cracking down on right-wing terrorists. Although I think that's pretty far from the truth. I think some things have been exacerbated by this. And he says he never shuts up in the group chat. It's difficult not to see. It is funny though. I try to stay in there, and shout out to whoever pins all the voice messages. That literally saves me so much time. I'm to go find where the voice messages are when I'm trying to see what Nick said. So shout out to the mods in there, man. You guys make it great, and thank you as always. So let's go ahead and do that. And again, apologies for the little delay there. But I guess we'll go to the Chud the Builder element. I think that's probably a good spot to start, honestly. So I'm going to bring this in. We're going to go to the watch screen here if I can pull it up for you guys. Also, Beardson's running for president in 2028. If you missed it, I will be voting for Beardson. Beardson has my vote wholeheartedly. But this is what I saw from Chud the Builder here. And this was from a quote tweet from Sneeko, of all people. I'll make myself a little bit smaller, actually. But it's from Sneeko. It says, "Absolutely senseless violence. Please do not throw your life away over words." And it's a quote tweet of Fearbuck saying that Chud the Builder shot a man who attacked him outside a courthouse in Clarksville and accidentally grazed himself in the process. Before it escalated, he asked a man if he's going to, quote, chimp out. The man then walked up and sucker punched him. It is unclear if the man survived. Now, as many people have been saying, this was seemingly just like a matter of time. And I think a lot of people have some great takes on this. Some people are just going way too far. Like, this is what you get for being racist. Like, I don't agree with that. It's just the concept of the fact that he is basically going out of his way to initiate contact like that. Now, his argument is that you can say, you're in America, you can say whatever you want, and I agree. The point being, though, is we know what happens if you say a certain word to a certain group of people. And I think pushing that to, what is the end goal there? It's only going to result in something like this. Now, I do ultimately feel bad for the element of the fact that they did harm his dog. As far as I understand, that his dog was killed by somebody who probably does not like what he's doing. And I would say that the optics on this are miserable. And I think that some people obviously are going to be supportive of him, just in general of what's occurring. But at the same time, these optics are just, I mean, at a certain point, Chud's, if he continues this at the rate that he's going, I mean, how could you say anything but? I mean, at some point, we're going to see him, he's going to get taken out on stream. And that seems to be like, that's like the right wing grifting sphere, which is, it rewards just more and more nonsense. It rewards basically trash, essentially. You know, there was a part of me, I do ultimately feel bad. You know, I'm not going to be someone who says I don't feel bad, but at the same time, like, he did it. Like, you effed around, now you're finding out. So one thing I'd like to actually check, maybe we can get a live look in here, is to see if Harrison Smith is actually talking to Chud the Builder right now on the Alex Jones show. Chud the Builder, Harrison Smith. Because I'm curious if he's actually making the appearance here. It says tune in to Alex Jones live at 4 p.m. Central. That's got to be right now. So I'd imagine they're all live right now. Would they not be? Watch live.
The real McCall.
Oh Lord. Well, I'm gonna mute that for a second, just because I want to see if he did end up making it into studio. I don't see it, so maybe not. Maybe not. Mussolinian says Atlas won the debate for sure. I didn't even watch it. Yeah, what is the polling saying? I would imagine it's gonna be biased towards me and Tom. I would imagine. Let me take a look at it over here. Where are we at with the polling? Okay, so wow. Okay, so me and Tom are at 86%. That's crazy. And shout out to all the people who did support. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much. It looks like this is a commercial, though. I'll give it a second to see if Chud's coming on. I don't see anything in the chat that would say otherwise. And to be fair, Harrison Smith posted that like 4 or 5 hours ago, so maybe something has changed since then, perhaps, if not completely. But the wild thing is he quoted it, did he not? What did he quote? Oh, he was talking about the other incident that got arrested. So this was probably not happening. Somebody says to be running a few minutes late. That's crazy. Yeah, more than likely he's not going to be making it for the show. So we don't have to worry about that. We'll move away from that. Looks like they're probably just running some baseline content there at Alex Jones to fill in that hour. Or maybe Harrison Smith will just move over to some other concept. But again, expect that to be brought up, especially in the vein of what it is like, what it will look like to pursue maybe more violent positions, or to pursue things and positions and methods of which that you are attempting to, like with Chud the Builder, he would argue that what he's doing is to highlight, or, you know, perhaps even bring awareness to, you know, or to maybe give other men confidence. But I guess the idea there is like, it's funny. It's like, is the point that you want other men to go and be screaming the N-word at black people? Is that what you want them to go do? Go stream it? Maybe not. And you also think about it too. Like, Chud has at least got a bit of a following. He has people supporting him. And I mean, imagine some guy sees Chud the Builder and thinks, you know what, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that in the Northwest over here, because I live in Seattle or something. And he has maybe no following. I mean, no one would even care. It would just be like that first result might be he just gets shot, and then no stream ever happens. No, and what's the win there? That's one less white person around, and more than likely that the black person who killed him will get a life sentence just because they're a minority, and they'll have all the argument in the world to say, well, this guy came at me with, you know, calling me the N-word and saying I was trimping out, and the judge is going to get the guy a life sentence. So you just kind of look at what the end goal is here. And I think, you know, there's probably a part of him that does believe that if he does this over and over again, and he's this, like, you know, with the bravado pushing for these things, perhaps there is an argument there to be made that he will be saying, like, I hope I give the confidence for the next man. I'm teaching men to stand up for themselves and, you know, not be afraid of the word. I think that's fair. But I think that Nick Fuentes also provides that same confidence, and with a bit of a methodology that doesn't also open yourself up to being vulnerable. And another item in there too that he talked about, one of these, that he was kind of having a bit of a breakdown. And again, I don't want to be acting like I'm standing over him and saying, you know, I told you so. There's part of me that does still feel bad. I feel bad because this is just the situation we're in. we are in this. This is just the dynamics of the world that we are in. And this part that I feel bad about. But he's also went on length talking. There's another clip that said supposedly that his ex-wife had contacted him wanting to change his son's name out of fear that people are going to retaliate against his son because of what Chud is doing. And so, Chud saying, no one's in my corner. It's not that no one's in your corner. It's like basically what you are asking for is you are asking for your wife and your ex-wife, forgive me, and son to also bear the consequences of what you are bringing to them, which you are bringing a target upon your back, which also brings in them. They're also going to target your children and your wife, people who are close to your family members. This is very commonsensical. If you make an enemy, like a mortal enemy of somebody, to the point of which they want to harm you, to the point of which they would kill your dog, they're going to go after people who are close to you as well. That is not a hard or very, you have to think too hard to get to a second and third level of thinking to understand that. And this is why there's a certain line that for me that I would never cross. I would never put myself on camera with my face screaming my name, or even if it was some kind of alias, and do something to that effect, because I do have children and I do know the way that these people are. And so if we understand that black people will kill you for saying a word and they will get off because there's two tiers of system of justice, the point is, it's not to entice that system of justice to bite and take you out. The point is to find better ways to ensure we can remove it and getting out and away from it. Because all he's doing is making it so easy for the New York Post to write an article and say, racist man finally got what was coming to him. And then everyone cheers. And what does that do? I mean, that basically just paints a really sad and mortal end to what Chud the Builder was trying to accomplish. I think Chud can do great things, but I think that, again, this concept of just pushing for people to get violent just doesn't. And so you can get put in front of a Jewish woman judge and have your life entirely destroyed because you possibly said a word. It's like, why are we enticing things? That's what I don't understand. And so, prayers out for Chud. I ultimately hope he's okay, and I hope that he learns a lesson from this, especially because it seems like it's been an extreme uptick in the last couple of days, going from also not only just having that occur to him, but also additionally being like pulled away from a restaurant, being questioned by like the FBI and local police. It's like at a certain point, it's like maybe pull back a little bit. Maybe not get every black person calling 911 trying to get this guy with this hat, etc., etc. And so it looks like Chud is unfortunately not having a good day today. And I was going to cover that. I actually had that in the outline to cover some of what he had been saying, going through it essentially with those couple of clips that he had there. And I guess perhaps I will go ahead and play one of them for you. I don't want to play the one of him, of the audio from the stream, but I will play this. Because this is what I'm talking about. This is his kind of thinking about the current situation, the dynamic that he is in. I'll go ahead and play this for you. And let me know if the audio is okay. It should be.
I might as well just tell you what I'm really upset about. My son's mother texted me today saying that she wants to change his name. Switch it from mine. She fears for him. She said, she's like, oh, you've tarnished your name, and I don't want him to have to deal with that. And I'm sitting there thinking, I walk through the streets and respectable people are literally stopping their cars in the road to shake my hand. I'm walking past people that want to take a picture every second. And the only people that don't like me are niggers that are trying to kill me.
So the thing is, it's like but these are the people he should care about. The random people shaking your hand in the street are quite simply like the people who are not. That's not who you should be caring about, who has an opinion about you. It should be the family. And again, it's not to say, not to comment on whatever happened between him and his wife, now ex-wife, but regardless, you still have your children involved. Those are people you are supposed to have practicing the ordering of love. You care for your family more than you care for strangers who simply maybe are in your community and also are white. Not to say they're too far away, but is to say you should actually care more about the opinion of your family and their well-being as well too. And I do think that they ultimately do need to come first. And so when your family's doing all of this and they're separating themselves, and I don't know if he had said that in this clip or in another one, but he did say, you know, his family doesn't even mess with him anymore. And truth be told, how could you blame them? You know, what brother of yours or sister of yours wants to proudly declare that they're your brother? They also now will instantly become a target. They will now also be probably hunted down with the same veracity of the black community because you know they simply can't handle a word being said in their presence. So I feel bad for Chud, but this is, I mean, you reap what you sow. I mean, what else can I say? What else can I literally say? You reap what you sow. So with that all being said, I want to go ahead and move over to the featured story before we get into everything else today. And we're going to go ahead and actually break out our new transition because instead of the community submission, it is now that the house always wins.
The house always wins.
So we're going to be talking about all about this counterterrorism and the counterterrorism strategy because we also had Nick and Tucker were named explicitly by Gorka. I believe Sebastian Gorka is his actual name. And it was covered by Ken Klippenstein in an article, which is, funnily enough, Ken Klippenstein's actually been covering a lot of the administration's categorization of different domestic terrorist groups. And he had a lot to say, especially after Charlie Kirk was killed. We had an article going deep about the nihilistic violent extremist, which was the NVE, which was the tag that was introduced shortly after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And this was seemingly a kind of a miss, if you will. And I even commented on then, it shouldn't be NVE. It needs to be very explicitly like left-wing, like transgender left-wing extremists, progressive left-wing extremists. When they say nihilistic violent extremists, it leaves it very broad. It opens it up for, I mean, you could put incels in that group, right? You could put any kind of, you know, group that may be associated with like a black pill or even a clear pill, if you will. And that would ultimately, you know, you could throw those people into the group. And I even commented then, it opens up a pathway for groypers also to be thrown in that group. As for many people, groypers are seen as, you know, this incel group, maybe for many one and the same, although they are different. And so we're going to get into this story, right-wing terrorists. And so it came from, again, Ken Klippenstein, that the administration is a new counter-terror strategy that is eyeing Tucker Carlson. And again, like I said, Tucker and Nick were both explicitly named by the White House, or not the White House, by Gorka, forgive me, as, quote, possible domestic terrorists. And so the charge has been led by, again, Sebastian Gorka, right-wing influencer turned National Security Council principal. Currently, the new counterterrorism strategy, which is considered Gorka's brainchild, identifies only 3 groups as priorities for the administration. You have narco-terrorist, you have Islamist terrorist, and you have violent left-wing extremists. Those are the 3 broad categories that they have in the group. But nowhere in the document does it mention right-wingers. But the point to be made there, actually, is that Gorka actually admits in an interview with, I believe the guy's name is Alex Marlowe, that he doesn't think that Tucker and Nick should be viewed as conservatives. Meaning that I think he's quite literally saying there doesn't need to be a right-wing category or a right-wing tag for a terror or domestic terrorist group, because perhaps Gorka considers them to fall under the Islamist terror tag. I'd be curious to see that kind of direction of where it will go. And so when you look at that, because again, Tucker specifically, right, has seemingly this abounding love for Qatar in you know, Middle Eastern countries. But you know, you kind of someone would say, you know, defending Islam or defending their civilizations. Someone goes so far as to say he's basically lauding Sharia law, which Ken Klippenstein did comment on inside of that article, which I thought was pretty funny. Because I don't think Tucker really goes that far, although he does open himself up to critique from the way he does talk about some of these cities in these areas as well. So I have here a clip, and this is the Alex Marlowe in the interview with Gorka, actually giving these comments that this story has kind of been birthed from. And so I think many people have kind of taken, this story's kind of taken a bit more of a life on its own. And so I think some people have already taken it like very fearful. But the reason I think it should be some level of fear And I think Nick has mentioned this as well too, and I've been feeling this bit of this pressure as well, especially when you see the broader element on YouTube specifically with the fact that they have just essentially turned over their filtering and flagging systems completely to AI. And I know many of you probably have creators who you've seen or seen from other creators, people they're close to, many of these different channels just getting eliminated or deleted or removed or revoked or some other effect like that because some AI determined that they said something that was hateful or yada, yada, yada. And when you combine that with the clear grip, obviously, that Israel has on the administration right now, it feels like, and much like with Dan Bilzerian, with all this talk with Israel and, you know, bringing Nick into a room to talk about what he can do to Ben Shapiro, I do agree completely with Nick that it feels like there is an enticement, an extreme enticement to get them to bring back all of the censorship, to get them to completely bring back the ban hammer and slam it and shut it all down and say, see, we tried. You know, we tried opening it up to the right wing. We had these rules, but as soon as we did, you know, it opened it back up. And next thing you know, that's, you know, violent threats and yada, yada, yada. So to say that they would be correct in doing that, I would say no, but I think that they would use any and all ability to censor and come back and being able to shut down different channels, and especially a channel like myself. Assuming the thumbnail probably has attracted a bunch of retarded idiots. I've seen a few ridiculous comments already. So I'm going to go play this interview just so you can see this. It almost feels like Marlowe is trying to entice it out of Gorka as well. But you take a listen for yourself. Here we are.
It's up to people like you. I'm not a political analyst anymore. I'm a counterterrorism government employee. But we have to have an effective, accurate snapshot on who are part of the conservative movement today. Because I would say to you, I'm not sure that Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson are conservatives. If you are lauding a Sharia law, if you are saying that there are Muslim states that seem to be better qualitatively than America in terms of freedom and prosperity, I'm not sure that means you're part of the conservative movement. So if you remove those individuals and you understand that they're not conservatives, what's left? Who are the people in the mainstream of the conservative movement, Alex, who are saying violence is okay? Hard to find people who aren't fringe figures.
Yeah, so this is something that's, I don't talk a lot about Fuentes on the show because I always knew that there was something up about it. It was very obvious to me, and I just didn't know how much. It's always tough when you go to a big newsroom like Breitbart because I've got two options. I've got ignore it, knowing this thing is eventually going to go away, or direct a bunch of fire at it. And we did a couple of pieces on him over the years that have been negative, obviously. But I spent a lot of time on it because it felt very inorganic to me. Certainly the numbers that were reported around this guy, that he was commanding this huge audience, though none of us know anyone who actually cares about his show in a serious way. And now he came out just a couple of days ago and said he's a flat out Democrat. So it just it just confirms anything that we would have thought. But then the question is, who beefed up these bogus numbers? And that's something that maybe could be investigated.
It's and you got to ask yourself, in whose interest is it to do that? Is it those political entities who are seeing waning support for them, for their policies, for their extremism, for whatever it is, from climate alarmism to not being allowed to know what your children are being taught in school? There seems to be a cui bono question. Who benefits from amplifying or, in fact, exaggerating the threat of right-wing extremism? I think the answer to that question is clear.
So I think what you get there at the end, and like I said, it seems like Marlowe was almost trying to entice it or supplement what Gorka was going to say next, which is, you know, Nick even admitted he's a Democrat. Clearly, all of his positions would tell you like he's definitely left wing. Gorka then adds on top of this, who would serve to gain from amplifying these audiences? You know, both in reference to Tucker and Nick. And so I think there is this like low level, although they're not really saying it, but they're clearly pushing that this is perhaps on some level is going to be what's the word? For the Islamic faction. They are boosting and pushing for what they're getting there in the Islamic faction. I just realized, I think the chat, did the chat actually get stuck? Let me change it. Did it really get stuck? I didn't even notice that. My bad. This might be really annoying, but we have to do it. Okay, hopefully it should be fixed. There we go. There we go. Okay, chat's fixed. I promise I have no idea what I did with it, but here we are. And so that's kind of what the main thing I wanted to focus on. I know I saw Tyler cover a little bit, and I agree with what he had said there too. It seems like it's a little kind of out of proportion. I don't think anybody's too fearful of it right now, but I do think, and again, along the same lines of censorship, you see things like the Chud the Builder. You see this kind of this enhancement of maybe the pressure to get rid of this, to shut it down. You see the infighting going back and forth. You see some of the comments just from people in general, like sometimes the X feed is just like literally glowing. It gives me a really bad feeling that it's going to open up pathways for people to get shut down and censored, and ultimately, put us in really rough positions. I'm really hoping that's not the case. I mean, this is very true. From Patrick Saramago, he says they really have to misrepresent Nick at this point. He's only going Democrat in 2026 to stop the awful administration. Well, some of these people don't. I would also add in there's some people who just refuse to see reason. Some of these people, it's this is where, I mean, and again, I think Nick is spot on with this, right? The Wignet came from Wigger nationalism, and it's not like Wigger in the sense that like I would use it typically, or how most people would typically use it. The Wigger, right? A white guy trying to be black, or stepping into black identity as a sense of retaining some sense of masculinity, sense that most men, through these last couple of generations have recognized that, a white man is largely viewed and put down at the lowest spot on the pyramid, in terms of all cultural, sensibilities would have it. And I think men see this over and over and over again when they are consistently propagandized with, the miscegenation, the interracial marriages, the interracial porn, the interracial advertisements. In addition to all other things that's kind of come downstream from that, Wigna is more in the sense of how the bravado of black people, the beating on their chest of it. And that's what I see a lot in a lot of these comments, is it feels like it is just it's what these people can do. It's a way to release their energy. It makes them feel better that they scream about going in, and harming people and going and just, doing things that you quite literally, can't say on stream, or trying to, get around it, or to harm this person or harm this individual, or go and shoot up these people, or go get your guns, go do this. And it's just, that's where the Wignet comes from. It's not wig as in wigger, as in white guy trying to be black. It's wigger as in it's a pathetic beating of the chest and screaming in the same way that, you're doing that because I'm white. It's the same kind of victimhood kind of mentality. It's not to say that some of those truths aren't there, but it is to say that's not the perspective. Despite how bad things are, you should still try to maintain to obviously rise above said circumstances. And I think that's where people kind of get confused as well on things like Casey Putsch and kind of Nick's demand of white excellence, and being excellent, not just the bare minimum. But again, we rehashed a lot of this in the debate yesterday, and I will be honest with you, I'm actually getting incredibly, incredibly tired of having to deal with this kind of retardation. It's getting me, I wouldn't say it's angry. I'm just tired of seeing it. I'm tired of having to see it on my comments. I'm tired of seeing people scream to go kill people all the time. Like I'm really getting really pissed off at seeing it, to be honest with you. And and one of these things I will say, one of these comments, and again, like I'm Christ first. I'm sorry, like I'm not gonna just toss every value I have in the basket because like I care more about being white. I'm sorry, I think that's retarded. I think that's literally irrespective of Christianity, and I think some people really need to get a grasp on that. Forgive me, but I had one comment that had came in on one of the previous streams that I did, and it was like a 3 or 4 paragraphs from some random commenter. and it was talking basically saying, you know, if you don't see that Nick is a Fed by now, you're a queer and you're gay and you're homosexual and you're an idiot. You need to change your position, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just quote it. You know, I quote it and I post it on X. I say Nick derangement syndrome. I'm like, you know, look at this. And then the guy, he's immediately responding, you know, how could you do this? How could you do this? Cool cross you have in your bio. Are you even a good Christian? I go, what a good Christian you are. I even donated to you. And it's like, and I'm going to say this to everybody here. Like, if the expectation that you give me money, it means that I now have to hold the opinion that you have, you can go fuck yourself. Seriously. This will be the last time I say this too. If I ever see that shit on my comments, in my chat, period, you're gone forever. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not a fucking monkey. I don't give a shit about your faggot fucking opinions. I think they're stupid and they're useless and they're retarded and they're going to get people killed. I have been long too charitable to a lot of people in these comments, in these chats, and all of this. And so when I get spoken to like that, and I get this kind of, and now here we are, the guy who's LARPing about how we need to just abandon all reason, all moral, and go pick up arms and go fight the government, is now bitching and moaning because I took a screenshot of a comment you posted on my YouTube channel. And I just said Nick derangement syndrome. I said 3 words, and this guy said I'm not a good Christian because I said 3 fucking words. I'm like, the disbelief I was in. You know, at first it made me angry, and then secondly, it's just kind of, you laugh at it a little bit too, because it's like, it's once again, it's the Walmart example. Here's a guy screaming away on his keyboard, like, we're going to go do this. We're going to go violence, violence, violence. And then I call him out on the timeline. Oh God, no. Oh, how could you do this? Are you even Christian? Where'd all that energy go? You were going to overthrow the government 5 minutes ago. And he knows who he is. I'm serious. And what's funny as well on top of that is I saw he commented, he's like on Zeb's post or something, because he made himself known to me on X as well. That's the reason why I'm talking about it. Made himself known. And then I also see he comments on the debate that we had yesterday, because I checked it out earlier this morning. And he's like mad. He's like mad at Zeb and John. He was like, no, you shouldn't have accepted their framing. No, you did such a bad job. And he's just like, he's so mad that like we just like didn't handily get beat in a debate. And like, here's the thing, like, and I'll be honest, I think it's because like we and Tom are right. And I think a lot of the comments who aren't even like, some of them were even saying they weren't even Groypers, were saying, well, at least like these guys had a positive and a long-term plan that had like stems to it. Like, you know, they couldn't say the same for what was being put forward on the other side. But not spend too much time on that. I just want to let that be known too. Like, I just like, cause I'm seeing people in chat already in here. Like, if you want to get handled, we can get handled. But like, if the idea of like, I haven't been extremely charitable and kind to opposing opinions, and then you're going to talk to me like that, well, okay, the deal's off. Anybody who has an opposing opinion is going to get absolutely fucked by me. That's how we're going to treat this from now on. Because apparently being charitable means that people think that you can just say whatever the fuck you want to me. And if you give me money, it's just expected that I go along with it. We're not doing that. Ever. So I just wanted to say that just as a minor point. It bothered me. And I don't want to name the person, but he's going to know definitely if we did. And we covered that. Right-wing terrorism. I guess we can we could spend some time going to maybe a bit more of a specific news story. But I am willing to debate anybody at this point. I think my confidence is at the point where I would probably only really feel somebody like Andrew Wilson. I think I could probably handle myself. Well, and Nick, obviously, but I agree with him, so I don't know what I would debate him on. Yeah. Anybody has any debate offers? I'm here. I'll take you up on it. And it's not even that I'm mad. It was just the disbelief of like the chutzpah, if you will, to say that I would debate Artie one-on-one. I would. To have the chutzpah to like say because you donated to me a couple of times that like it's an outrage. I don't hold your opinion. Like that was insane to me. I would do Verillium as well. I would debate Verillium. You tag all these people if you want to. I'm fine with me. Verillium was clipping the debate on putting on X last night. I thought that was pretty cool. But I guess we'll stay serious for a little bit. I want to cover a few more things before we get into maybe a bit more reactions of what's happening today. And I do want to take a look at what's happening on the Clavicular and JD Vance stuff. One other story that's not been getting maybe much coverage so far is the Thomas Massie is trailing Ed Gallrein. And so I know Nick's not spending much time covering it, but I will spend a little bit of time covering it. So go ahead and put some of this stuff on screen for you. And so here is this. This is from Dominic Michael Trippi, and it's new. Thomas Massie is trailing his opponent Ed Gallrein in the Kentucky GOP primary race, per Qantas Insights data. And so I also saw from Rerum Novarum that Ed Gallrein is leading 53% to 45%. And what you can see here is there's a very specific breakup of the polling data. And so you can see Massie is plus 25 for 17 to 25-year-olds. He's plus 56 for 26 to 35, which is crazy. He's plus 38 for people aged 36 to 45. He's plus 17 for people from their 46 to 55. And then every age bracket older than that, Gallrein takes it. He owns the boomer crowd. And I think therein it does show you where the where the MAGA coalition is holding its dominance, and it is once again in the same crowd you would expect it would be, the boomer crowd as well as the evangelical crowd. And so it's very disconcerting, I would say, to see this, because I was actually not expecting, even despite AIPAC dumping the millions of dollars, to believe it's like 9.8 is the exact figure, so $10 million, and this might not even be all of it, that was dumped into Ed Gallrein's campaign to fight Thomas Massie. Now, I also noticed this from Polymarket as well, but if you can see this, the Polymarket, Thomas Massie was actually, he has held the lead. Now, Ed Gallrein, I'm trying to remember when he specifically was endorsed by Trump, but I do believe it came at some point this year, so it would be in this range. If you can see down here, January's right here. Let me click on the photos, better to see. So it would be down here, but even throughout, I mean, dominating here. So the only point really that it came close was, looks like sometime around the end of March or beginning of April, probably closer to the middle of March, if you're asking me. And all of a sudden, just in like the last couple of days, Thomas Massie's chances have nosedived. But again, this is a Polymarket graph. These are betting odds, based off the volume of money. And the bets being made, but I guess this is where the Polymarket odds are sitting so far. And I think somebody probably should do something like that, right? A Polymarket, what would it be? A Polymarket prediction accuracy? So I'm curious how many of these Polymarkets were wrong. If they had like a 70% chance that, Hillary Clinton was going to win the election and a 30% chance that Trump would win. I wonder how many times like they're on the other side of that. They flipped. And for the last couple of days, I would say this is something I've not been privy to being able to dig up much information on, although there's plenty out there. It's more so I just didn't have time to add into the outline, but I've been seeing it happen. And part of it was because I had a comment on one of the posts I had on X. I had like nothing to do with the post. And it was like, I was just like, it didn't make any sense to me at first, because they said, release the Massie files. And I was like, what is this? And exactly, Jason Miller's already on the ball. Suddenly a bunch of Me Too allegations came out. And it's not even just like Me Too allegations. We're talking about allegations of, I saw a photo posted and it was like Massie was somewhere in Vegas like a month and a half after his wife passed. And they're like, what was Massie doing in Vegas? And it's like he's having dinner with a couple of guys. And it's like, it's not the same. It's not really the same thing as like when you're attaching that to like Erica Kirk after her husband dies. It's like, yeah, what is she doing? Right? Like, yeah, it's like, this is kind of curious. Thomas Massie not publicizing a trip to Vegas to go meet with some buddies is like not, like, of course, like who else does he have? You want to like sit in his house alone and like, wipe his tears with this dog or something like that. That seemed to be a little far-fetched, but there is an element of like the Massie files now being all over X. And what I thought was funny was in the response of that, many people have began posting like AI photos of Ed Gallrein. And some of these are hilarious. It's like the one I saw earlier today was an AI photo of Ed Gallrein pushing a pregnant woman down the stairs. And people are like, they're like, whoa, can we get an investigation? Did Ed Gallrein really push a pregnant woman down the stairs? And so I like that the fighting back is happening, like this organic jumping in the trend, and it's that people are catching on to bring attention to this very clear and drawn up. It really, if anything, it's desperate, it's disgusting, it's last minute tactics. It's that they have nothing. It's like even the millions of dollars that AIPAC is being funneled into this guy's campaign, it was like looking like it's still not going to be enough. So what we have to do on top of that is we have to actually lie about Thomas Massie to degrade his character. We have to start pushing and running these, sexual deviant stories, and now we got to run, sexual assault stories. We have to start like driving up these, make it seem like he didn't care that his wife died, all of this, and it's just, wow. The depravity of these people to go the length on some of this is just honestly incredible. Just, you kind of, it's like, you gotta give it to him at a certain point. It's like, at some point, sometimes I do think about like the ease of like going through life without a moral conscience, but these people are they just do it. You don't have a moral conscience. You just become a machine. You can just do whatever you want in this life, and it doesn't faze you one bit. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't. I do have a moral conscience. I heard a great saying. Where did I hear it from? It's like the show like called From, I believe is where I heard it from. But I guess the saying is, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you can tell a good person by the torture their previous bad things causes them. Something to that effect, right? It's like you can tell someone's a good person by the fact that what they've done in the past bothers them, or they're tortured by the bad things they've done in their past. Something to that effect. And these people are like, this is another Tuesday for them. Complete lying story. It doesn't matter. And it's not to say like, perhaps Thomas Massie did, get involved with something, or, he did something. I haven't looked too heavily into them. Now, but if you were asking me, I would imagine it is more of a nothing burger and really just an attempt to smear him right before Kentucky primary, or leading into it, I should say. The Massie meeting with China, we did talk about how there's 16 total CEOs there. The New York Times had reported that, again, Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA CEO, was not invited and not expected to go, but he did go. So I'll put these up on your screen again. But this is the disclosed TV. This is Trump arriving in Beijing, coming in, obviously with a crazy kind of entrance. That's actually kind of wild, to be honest with you. That's a lot more of an appearance than I think what you would get in the United States if Xi Jinping were to come and walk down the walkway. But again, just expected that they're really going to largely be revolving around the war in Iran, trade, and Taiwan. But I think the Taiwan and the war in Iran element are going to be both vice versa. It's like, you back off Taiwan, we'll push for Iran to give you what you want. I think that's what we're going to see. And so, not spend too much time on it, but I will give you a little bit of a gist from the New York Times analysis of it. And so what they have here, you see, what is on the table? Quote, Mr. Trump and Mr. Xi are likely to discuss trade, including possible investment in each other's countries. Washington has been emphasizing what analysts call the, quote, 5 Bs. These include Chinese purchases of Boeing airplanes, and again, the CEO from Boeing did go, U.S. beef and soybeans, as well as the creation as a board of investment and a board of trade. So Boeing, beef, beans, board of investment, board of trade. That's the 5 Bs that the U.S. is looking for with this summit here. They say that those two entities would carve out areas of economic exchange between the United States and China that do not raise national security concerns. Now, the Chinese have been emphasizing the 3 Ts, which they call tariffs, technology, and Taiwan, which Beijing claims is part of China's territory. Beijing is likely to push for an extension of last year's trade truce and the loosening of export controls on advanced semiconductors that China needs to upgrade its industrial sector. Mr. Xi, who told Mr. Trump by phone in February that his country would never allow Taiwan to be separated from China, is likely to push Mr. Trump to dial back U.S. support for the self-governed island. And I think if you were asking the Trump administration what they would want the most right now, what would help them the most right now, it would be getting the strait reopened, and then being able to maneuver and having a open negotiation about the enriched uranium and whatever next step that seems to be going. Yeah, synchronized flag waving. Yeah, you like seeing the the clear. I mean, it's not as bad as North Korea, I would say, but still kind of funny to see that. Let me go ahead and click off of this. This comes some of the more featured stories of today. I would also add in there that Polymarket also has Kamala Harris overtaking AOC in the 2028 Democratic primary, which I think is a good thing. To be honest with you, I think Kamala Harris presenting as a very weak. I mean, dude, if she gets the nod again, and I mean, where are we going to get it? It's going to be AOC arguing with Kamala Harris, arguing with Gavin Newsom at the podium. Perfect, beautiful. So when we vote for Democrat in the midterms and we begin to weaken the GOP, and hopefully by 2027, we're all hearing about how Hegseth had some kind of an extreme sexcapade with Marco Rubio in a back room somewhere. The Rubio brand will begin to get depressed. And we hope that along with that, we'll get maybe some damaging, or maybe just some general weakening of the JD Vance brand as well. Because again, the goal is to suppress the midterms, not suppress midterms, but to suppress the GOP where they are currently. So I think that is very frightening to see that the GOP, with the money and the word of mouth endorsement, is about to get Thomas Massie out of office, who is somebody that I think for the average American can say that they like him. We don't like him for his stance on immigration and wanting to, run and give guns to black people. But we do appreciate him for his positions for freedom and his positions to not be controlled or subjugated by Israel. So there are some things that we like about Thomas Massie. But I would say that does prove and does show that there's still a strength, there's still power in what the GOP is, which I think implores us to vote Democrat. It implores us to find a way to weaken the GOP. We weaken the GOP, we make it more viable for another primary contender to throw their hat in the ring. Because if it's a 40% race between Vance and Rubio, no one's gonna really want to dump a lot of money and millions of dollars into campaigning or raise enthusiasm from donors to invest in them if it's a surefire thing that's going to be one of these guys. So the point is twofold. One, we would like to get very specifically to weaken both of their personal brands between Vance and Rubio. But second to that, what we would like to see is just the overall weakening of the GOP brand. Because again, if we can get more and more to come out, more and more to be seen and recognized of what the Trump administration actually is, you can then sit there and say, and you would open this up for the other primary contenders to say, when they point at Vance, they would go, who wants 4 more years of the administration we just have? And they can point at Rubio and say, who wants 4 more years of the administration we just have? And therein opens a channel for another primary contender, an insurgent, if you will, to come in and put his hat in the ring. And now it opens it up for us to be able to move away from the mega entity and as well as the Vance entity. But both will be treated as a referendum on the previous election or the previous administration, which is serving right now, the current Trump administration. So if we can maintain the momentum and maintain the sour taste in the mouth that everybody has when they think of Trump and the fact that he has betrayed them on mass deportations, on the war with Iran, the border wall, as well as just the overall economic state right now, that's what we need to keep. We need to keep the taste in people's mouths as bitter and as sour and as disgust-filled as possible, so that when it does come to 2028, all anybody can think of is when they see Vance and Rubio, is they think of getting knifed in the back for what they actually went and voted for. So that is our purpose here with this, to open it up. And like I explained on the debate last night, getting another large field of candidates, I don't think we'll get the same 16 like what was present when Trump was there. But remember that, when Trump was running and it was Jeb Bush and Cruz and dude, everybody was there. I mean, there's so many people there. It's like 16, I think, total candidates at that one primary conference. It's now opened it. Now there's so many options. May the best man win. And I think that's the dynamic we're trying to get to ahead of 2028 to allow ourselves a chance to getting away from the seemingly predestined future we have with either Rubio or Vance. And that's why I am fully behind the voting for Democrats in 26 to again give the House to the Democrats. And regardless, even if there wasn't a message here, there's already a chance that they already have done that to themselves. I think by all accounts, it does look like the Democrats will take the House. The Senate is a different question. And then one other thing I would add on top of it would be, this is another smaller story. I say smaller story. I say smaller story only in the essence that you are going to know about it and nothing will happen to it. So a CIA whistleblower testified that Fauci was directly involved in covering up COVID-19. The whistleblower said specifically that CIA scientists concluded that COVID originated from a lab leak but the finding was removed and altered during a 2 a.m. meeting. That came from Leading Report. I believe both of those came from Leading Report. And I say again, small story only in the aspect that, do you expect to see Fauci going to prison? No, I don't. Should he be in prison? Yes, he should. Many people involved alongside him should also be getting put in prison. Will they? Doubt it. Highly, highly doubt it. So while we are going to switch over for a second, I do want to see if we can check out where this current kick stream is at, maybe just to read it for a little bit. But again, I'll put it on screen for you guys to see. This is what I was, oops, not the wrong one. Wrong one. This one. Switch over. Clavicular, JD Vance, and Jake Paul, although not this one. I'm going to have to go find his newest one. So again, just to show you, like I said earlier, this is the one I first saw. I was like, okay, Clavicular, Jake Paul. But then I saw the other one with JD Vance. And I was like, there's no way. And now, as I'm seeing this, maybe perhaps maybe it's a complete punk. Maybe I got punked. Let's go ahead and get rid of a couple of these. Let me get rid of some of these tabs out of the way. Let's find this. Kick. I don't know. Do I follow Clavicular? I probably do.
What? Community stick.
Somebody just
I would imagine. With special guest, it says.
Sad stories. I mean,
Okay.
definitely one of my favorites. That was a joke.
Oh, I thought it was you can still.
Trust me.
Who is that? It says 6'9". I don't know who this is. Okay, looks like he's doing like regular content, it looks like. No JD Vance yet.
Yeah.
Hey, we're good. We're good.
Is Jake Paul fighting Clavicular? I don't know. I would doubt it. I doubt Clavicular would take him up on that. So let's check this then. Okay, so there's the one that I saw. JD Vance, Jake Paul. Interesting. Now I'm kind of it's a smaller account. I don't know who this is. I think this is I feel like this is fake. Definitely feel like I got punked on that. But great AI photo though. Perfectly wonderful. But now again, if JD Vance literally shows up on the stream here, I'll lose my mind. To Waka Flocka. Okay, so there are special guests, but it's a bunch of randoms. It's not JD Vance. JD Vance is not going to be showing up here with these people. If he does, I'll literally jump off my chair.
What are these?
To like 2 feet below me.
Oh, so
But okay, Mark's safe from JD Vance today. It's still not a good sign that he's out with Jake Paul. But again, he's doing content. He's pushing himself. He's trying to be the content king. You know how it goes. That's just the way it is. It's the way things move around here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am not interested in the slightest in listening to rappers talk about their opinions on anything. Actually, I find that to be
gay.
So that was funny. What I will show you is there is this, and he also did the Jake Paul element as well. Not Jake Paul, Logan Paul on Impulsive. And
Ladies
it's just
and
like he's just doing the tour. So when I saw this, I was like, perhaps they probably got into an agreement with each other of like, we'll do content with each other. It's like, you know, if you come here, you can do my show in the morning, and then when you can host yours. And then Jake Paul was probably making like a video with it, I would imagine. You would imagine, I guess maybe the thought process in there. It only makes sense, right? Like if I was planning a trip to go to, go to South Carolina, me and Josh would probably do like a setup like of a certain video, and then me and Zeb would do like a fitness stream, and then maybe at the end we would do like a 3-way debate, something like that. I mean, you were just playing for it. That's just the way these things work. I say it's bad by any means, but it is not. I just don't enjoy like seeing him attach himself to these like obviously like industry plant shows, who are just literally here. Entire purpose is to just distract you from literally anything meaningful. The these influencers, basically the Rogan sphere, Nelk Boys would be next, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but well, here's the thing: the Nelk Boys apparently started doing this thing called Nelk Island. I'm telling you, if everything just becomes this like this disgusting raunchy content of like, I'm gonna bring my wife and my fiance here, and we're gonna see if she's gonna cheat on me with some random guys that we have here. Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to physically, I will become Hitler. I will shave my stash, and I will literally be the second coming of Hitler. And I'll join Zeb. Like, if that's where I'm at with it. Like, it's not even a depressive element anymore. It's like I am so tired of seeing this degen content, dude. I'm so sick of seeing like, and now the Nelk Boys, I'm pretty sure they call it Nelk Island. I'm positive. Let me show you guys. I don't want to say this and like not be correct. I'm positive I saw a clip of it the other day. Nelk Island, I'm positive it's called. It's just based off of all these other stupid shows. What is it, like Love Island? Yeah, Love Island, where everybody cheats on each other. It's so bullshit, dude. It's like, this is what black people do. Black people content. Oh, that's crazy. Love Island copyrighted Nelk. You guys can't see that. Apparently this happened on May 1st. Good. Screw you guys. But like this, let me find a frame that's not like going to be terrible. Okay, there's going to be no good frame. But like this is what I'm talking about. Now they're doing this. It's like, here's some random woman, and it's like two guys like just I'm telling you, if you watch this kind of content, I can't even say what I want to say. It's going to get me taken off the platform. I have a deep disdain for it. Deep disdain for it. So when I saw that, I was like, dude, is this like the new trend? Are we gonna have Groiper Island? It's gonna be Beardson and Tyler Russell and Jimbo and like 10 Groipettes and Faith Merrill appears. Like it just makes you want to like jump, you know, not have the ability to cycle carbon dioxide and oxygen through your system anymore. Yeah, I don't know what the selling point is with this. You know, like this, like that's what you know, that's what Hitler saw. That's what Hitler saw before he made Germany great again. Like that's literally what he was looking at. Variations of that, and it's hard to blame him. Like I'm sorry, like you see stuff like that, how do you not immediately just have an maybe overreaction, but a reaction to it? And so a couple things I want to go and react to as well too that I saw outside of that. You know, I'm kind of all over the place today, but so goes it. There are more Dan Bilzerian and Nick ring camera edits. I thought these were hilarious. There's a couple of them. I'll go ahead and show them to you while I have them here. But this one was great. It's just like a floating backflip on this. And it's funny. I think this is going to be a meme template, it seems. I would imagine. This Nick ring camera. You know, who knows who else we're going to see on the ring camera getting kicked down the stairs by Nick. This one's also another one that I saw. Like this roundhouse kick. It's so much quicker too. Bang, dude. And I like how they make Dan look so small in them too. And you know what's crazy is, you know, people get rage baited so hard on the height thing. They do. Like people get rage baited so hard on the height thing. And it blew me away because somebody found out that the Neon White Rabbit guy who went and spoke at the America First United event. I wish I bookmarked the post. But they found out that he basically works for Matt Forney. And there's some like connections there, or works alongside Matt Forney, and I think works under maybe the same tag or label. But I saw this post, I think it was from Lucky Teeter or Forney, one of the two. And they're like, it's like a red string board. They have all these different photos of Nick, like in all these different places, standing next to like Baked Alaska, standing next to Beardson. And like, we know they're this high and he's this high. So Nick's lying. Nick's actually 5'8", or like he's not 5'9", he's 5'8". Lord, dude. And dude, like that's what I'm talking about. Like when I see that mentality from men, and people tell me there's going to be revolution, I'm going to laugh. It's hard not to laugh. What? What? A guy's getting rage baited about height from an online account you can't even see his face on. What do you mean? And he's like, it looks like he's sending people to do his bidding to do deep research analysis to prove that Dan Bilzerian's an inch taller than Nick. Like, oh my God. Like, bro, what are we doing? Like, where are we? What are we doing? Why? What is happening? And I think there was one really good one to cover as a comment from Donald Trump. This is another thing I wanted to react to today, moving away from some of the Dan Bilzerian stuff. I'm sure that'll kick up as the days go on. But we saw this, and I saw this was submitted inside of the community channel, inside the Discord chat. And I thought it was funny because it perfectly describes what Donald Trump has become, what he is, and where we are going. And he answers the question, and instead of kind of explaining it to you, I'll go ahead and play it. I'm sure you guys are already familiar with the clip. But he lets everybody know how much he thinks about Americans at home. And you'll be surprised at how little it actually is. So here's this clip here.
What extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's
So you might not have heard it that well, even though I did max out the volume settings on that. Donald Trump said verbatim when the reporter asked to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal, says not even a little bit. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. And it's glorious. It's beautiful. We're so far into the golden age at this point. I like, it's not even angering anymore, right? It's not even that this is what the golden age is. It's just we just every day I wake up, and when I wake up, someone from the Trump team comes to my door, and they hand me a pristine, shining, premium, gold-plated Fell For It Again award. And each day you shake it. It's like a magic ball. It's like, what did I fall for today? You shake it and you're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, wow, today Trump doesn't give a fuck about America's financial situation. Wow. That was not as, some of these other ones are pretty rough. Some of these other ones are pretty bad. This one is like, this one's just kind of, I was expecting this one. Like, someone needs to make that. Somebody make the Fell For It Again award 8-ball. You just shake the award and it's like, what did I fall for again today? And it's like, BlackRock CEO given, it's like, lovely. Kevin Lemon says, show Steven Crowder keep trusting the plan. This video. But yeah, but the Democrats are worse. I would imagine you guys probably watched that. I watched it in full. I watched the first half and then ended up going to the gym. So then I watched it the third quarter on the way to the gym, and then I listened to the fourth quarter on the way back home. And man, the one part where he's like, son, that meme, dude, that was golden. That was golden. I loved it because it's all about Steven's like trying to like dangle the keys of 130 feet of border wall. And I'm glad that Nick brought it up too, but it's like it's bollard fence. It's not the concrete wall. It's not a 30-foot concrete wall. It's an 18-foot easily walk-overable. I say easily, but for me probably. But it's a climbable bollard fence that does nothing, and we have 2,000 miles of border that's required for. And Nick's main point there was like the wall should have already been made. Like the fact that we're talking about the border wall 10 years after it was first mentioned is the problem. But Crowder doesn't care. Crowder's trying to say, but isn't that good enough? Isn't that better? Isn't something better than nothing? And that is where I disagree. Because something still is nothing. And you kind of look at it in the same purview of we'll take Christianity for example. What do you think Jesus would say if you were like, well, I followed you sometimes, I repented sometimes, You know, that's at least that's better than like not doing it at all. You know what I mean? Stephen knows what he's doing, but it does really, it points the lens directly at this inertia that is the lesser of two evils argument. And again, I would just ask, like, you would just say, like, listen, like, I don't, what even is the something? Like, you mean something is in like a mere fraction of a percentage of something? Like that's nothing. That's nothing at all. And it's not even that, you know, getting something is like two of these promises were betrayals, you know, especially with the no new wars. And and I'm glad Nick calls this out too. Alcohol says they cut the bottom of one ballard and walk through. I'm sure they do. Just a couple pliers. You don't even need that, dude. You probably use it with a knife enough strength, willpower if you have it, or just bend it. You just like rip it. For sure, people finding ways if you're skinny enough or can manage it. But Nick is spot on. You know this. You know the retconning of the Iran war argument that came from Crowder and that debate, which I think is just foolish. I think it makes people look retarded. I'll just be honest. I think it makes people look retarded. And I would imagine Andrew Wilson's on the same sphere, which is, you know, what Trump said. You know, Trump said in the 80s that Iran can have a nuclear weapon. Like, so of course we're going to go to war with Iran. And it's like, no. No. Do you think that people voted for war with Iran? Was that what was being entertained in the campaign? Was that an item? Was it an item that was even on a website? Was there signs presented that said war with Iran? Well, Laurel Newman might have been there, so sure, maybe there was one. Mark Levin said, okay, maybe there's two. But the average person in this country did not vote for that. They voted for mass deportation. They voted for an improved economy. And they voted for the second coming of Donald Trump, which was supposed to bring about all of those things and more. The golden age, the cleaning out and the draining of the swamp, the final slam, the shattering of the ceramic glass that is the Biden presidency, the extremely weak and feckless. And we didn't get that. And Crowder's argument is, well, Donald Trump said some time ago, you know, that Iran can have a nuclear weapon. And that's what people voted for. And it's like, that's not what people voted for. I think we should do that thought experiment. We should do the thought experiment, and we should if we could, get every person who voted for Trump in 24 and poll them again and ask if they would vote for him again today. And then ask them why they wouldn't vote for him a second time. Why did they regret voting for him, and why they would change it around? And then break it down by age. So you can really see where the separation is at between those. And so, you know, there was nothing even really useful to play from the debate, the Crowder debate. And it largely centered around, you know, Nick's strategy, talking about, you know, going and doing what he's doing with, you know, pushing for Amy Acton, and also his larger strategy going into 28. And then I saw from Zeb earlier, and now it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Zeb's moving closer to these people that I really wish he wouldn't. But I either reposted something or he quoted earlier today. I can go find it. Let me go find it. Don't want to talk about Zeb without pulling it up. Speak out of and speak ill. But this is what I just, it's more of this, I guess. And you'll see what I mean when I pull it up. Let me find it. Oh, you guys aren't seeing it. Let me find it for you guys. It was something, it was a repost perhaps. It's one of these. Perhaps he didn't. Oh, there it is. It's this one. So it was a repost from an account that says NatSock. And now I know, again, retweets aren't endorsements, but I would question why this was reposted. It says, high IQ anti-Semitism is going on Jew-approved Republican shows to not mention the JQ at all, and instead talk for hours about why you should vote Democrat this time. Do you read what the post says from Steven Crowder? Looking forward to having Nick on the show tomorrow. We'll be hashing out our disagreement on a strategy of voting Democrat in the midterms. Should be an interesting conversation. So the debate, even said by Crowder, is about Nick's strategy. You could say the same thing about our debate yesterday on NAV, about both of us. We didn't name the Jew enough. I mean, like this is what Nick is trying to separate himself from. He's trying to separate himself from this, which is that, like, and again, and Nick even said this in the debate here with Crowder, and I wish I had the exact moment, but he says it in the debate where Nick says, Crowder brings up, Amy Acton, and she's Jewish, because he said she's COVID czar, she's this, she's feminist, whatever, and she's Jewish. And Nick goes, well, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually a great point that you bring that up, because more is involved in the political ecosystem and what goes on planet Earth than being Jewish. It's not to say it doesn't have a huge impact. It's not to say that JQ is not, if not the most important question plaguing our society. But to act as if that is all, everything is supposed to be about always just Jew naming, Jew. It's the Alex Jones thing. That's all they want. That's all these people want. And now I am beginning to see the ire and the draw of why some people avoid it. And again, it's just, I guess the optics are that if you just scream it loud enough, people will come and they'll and it's just gonna activate. They're like, dude, I didn't know. I really didn't have any feelings about this until you screamed Jew in my face, and now I am. It's just insane. It's just, to me, it's just. It's getting old. It's getting very, very, very old. Nick doesn't talk about the Jew. It's just like, okay. And I don't even know how to tangle with it anymore, because I find it to be extremely, if it's not bad faith, I find it to be extremely removed from any rationality to trying to actually win. Like, that's where I'm at with it, is I don't view it to be, it's not rooted in any ounce of trying to win or push the ball down the field. It's just to say it just so you have the cathartic feeling that you said it. And what does that do? It's kind of like the same thing with the same element with black people. It's like, do you really think, like for myself, peace out, Patrick. Like, for myself, did you guys, and maybe I should ask this, maybe it should be another poll, but did you guys need to be told that, black people are different from you? They behave a certain way. Did you need to be like told and explained, or like, did you just kind of get it growing up? Just being around them. And it just comes from this idea, again, I feel like, for whatever reason, they have maybe this belief, maybe not all of them, but some of them have this belief of, like, if they just keep going, like, more people will join them. It's like the silent majority agrees with them. And then if they just give enough confidence, like with the Chud the Builder and otherwise, that more men will just come up out of their chairs and they'll start screaming the hard R at random black people. And that's how we win. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Yeah, they're making people in colors now. Yeah. Sometime, huh? Sometime. And I don't know if Marcus is in here still, but he probably is. And this is one of the things I wanted to react to on the last stream, but ultimately didn't get the chance to. And this is the golden idol of Trump. And so I have a video here from Michael Knowles. We'll go ahead and pull it up here. So now we're going to get to the react section of the show here today. And so we're going to go and play this. Marcus was rather irritated at Michael Knowles here, and he was also irritated, and for good reason too. Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh aren't good people. They're liars. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't presume for one second that they are idiots and have no idea what is going on. But they're really, really, really good at not engaging with it. So Michael Knowles posted this video, and it says, quote, "Honor is not worship. Respect is not idolatry. Indeed. So you can see Marcus is here, right here. He says, what an absolute coward. Candace, please find your child another godfather. Michael Knowles is in a Catholic. He's an idol worshiper now. This is cowardly and disgusting. Well, if anything were to ever happen to you, Candace, Michael would not fight for you. Which is crazy. So we have this here. Here's from Michael Knowles. I'll go ahead and play this video here.
Now, the religious right.
Oh, that's not too loud. Let me know if it is. I will adjust it. Let's take a listen.
Ruffled a lot of feathers, including among Christians, just over the weekend, because religious leaders, specifically evangelical and Jewish leaders, showed up to dedicate and even bless a golden statue of President Trump at Doral. Doral, which is one of President Trump's clubs in Florida. I was there not that long ago. And this has some Christians worried that we might be entering into golden calf territory here. We might be entering into the infidelity of the Israelites in the Exodus kind of territory.
It's like, might? How many times, for one, did Trump not post himself as literally Jesus? And did he not also then follow it up with him like basically with Jesus? Has he not also posted himself like on the cross as well as Jesus? You know, and then now we're at the gold statue and he's like, are we getting to the golden calf? It's like, no, brother, that is the golden calf. Where have you been? Where have you been talking about?
But I thought there was one evangelical pastor who had a very, very good response to the criticism, which we'll get to momentarily. First, my favorite comment yesterday. Wow, again, I don't read the names. It's just the comment. Once again, we're just going to call my favorite comment the Drummers Workshop Norms Music section of the show.
I am the chosen one.
It says Greek salad was invented by black people, according to AOC. Yeah, you remember that? That was the other. Man, AOC has been on a run the last few days. Democracy invented by black people. Jamal Madison, I think it was, who is the father of our Constitution. Is that right? Is that right? Cleisthenes, but like with a bunch of apostrophes in there. Anyway, AOC, gotta love it.
One thing I got to mention too, if you guys have been on X recently, that Wade Wilson guy who has all of like those tattoos or whatever, he's like one of these criminals or whatever. It's like this crazy story. I saw somebody quote that photo of him like leaning back in court while he's getting sentenced. And the caption said, Michael Knowles, if he locked in. I have to go find it real quick, dude. It was so funny. Hold on. It'll take 2 seconds. Let me find it on this. Michael Knowles, if he locked in. Bro, I swear that's like the exact. Maybe I won't find it. I guess not. Okay. Well, never mind. If you do find it, definitely have a good laugh at it because I thought it was hilarious. But okay, back to the video here.
Religious leaders at Doral, one of Trump's clubs,
hilarious.
have just blessed a giant golden statue of Trump. And I was zooming in on the religion here. I can't help but notice, I don't think there were any Catholic priests in attendance. But there were Christians and Jews. I think it was mostly evangelical Protestant leaders and some Jewish leaders. And they installed the statue of Trump on one of his properties, raising his fist in the air in that amazing moment where he was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, survived by the grace of God. He said, fight, fight, fight. And these religious leaders came and blessed the statue. And so a lot of critics have said, well, this is...
Okay. Having the statue is one thing. I did not know that they came and blessed the statue. Are you kidding me? Okay, dude, brother, we have gone way off the rails. I would imagine Paula White was there leading the charge too. Just screaming and dancing up. And she probably took offerings too. She probably brought her plate with her. She's like, okay, going into the crowd of other pastors. Like, this woman, dude.
A golden calf. You're making an idol out of Trump. You're worshiping Trump. This is wrong. This is too far, even for us Christians. I thought Pastor Mark Burns had a really good response to the criticism. I won't read the whole thing. It was quite long. But he says, one of the greatest honors of my life was leading the dedication of President Donald J. Trump's statue to the world. What amazes me is how quickly some people have compared this beautiful statue created and made possible by more than 6,000 patriots to a golden calf or idol worship. Let me be very clear. We worship the Lord Jesus Christ and him alone. The word of God says, You shall have no other gods before me. Exodus 20, verse 3. It also says, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. Matthew chapter 4, verse 10. That is the line. And now.
So that's a defense. This is the line. Honor's not worth. It's crazy, dude. Like if your conscience convicted you enough that you had to write a pro statement like this because you're getting the backlash, then like you know that there's something up with it. You know it's at least at questionable somewhere along those lines. But where did you tag me at in here? Did this one? Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Why did I not be able to, why couldn't I find it the first time? But it was this one. Oh, you guys can't speak to this. But does that look like my, I mean, a little bit younger, I can see it, right? The slick back hair, like the Italian kind of look to him. He's wearing the suit, obviously. But yeah, Michael Knowles, if he locked in, I thought that was great. I didn't even like it or bookmark it or anything. I swear to God, I liked the post earlier. I thought that was funny, very accurate. And thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. And I believe the guy's name is Wade Wilson, which is crazy. Because that's the name of Deadpool, I do believe, right? Or the character's name of Deadpool, not like the actor's name by any means. Michael Knowles, if he locked in. That's crazy. Could you imagine? Well, Michael Knowles is still a good bit skinnier, but could you imagine Michael Knowles like leaned back with like face pats all over, you know, and it says "I love Jews" or something to that effect?
Take out your pencils because I love this line from Pastor Mark Burns. He says, "Honor is not worship. Respect is not idolatry. Celebration is not bowing down to a false god." Write that line down. Honor is not worship. Respect is not idolatry. Celebration is not bowing down to a false god. This statue was not created for worship. It was created as a symbol of resilience, patriotism, courage, and gratitude. It was created to honor a man whom many may disagree with, but millions of Americans believe has done extraordinary things to make this nation stronger.
Okay, yada, yada, yada.
Statue of Trump at one of the Trump clubs. Yeah, probably, right? That makes sense. Is there anything crazy about that? There's a statue of Barry Weiss at the University of Austin. I think it's okay to have the founder, especially when we're talking about Donald Trump, who's the president, whose name is on the club. I think it makes sense to have a statue of Trump there, right? He's the president. He's an historic president. Okay. So is the problem that the statue is gold? What is it about gold that's I don't think there's anything intrinsically immoral about making a statue out of gold. There are plenty of gold statues in the world.
Well, it's just by proxy of the fact that you just made an idol of yourself. I would imagine Trump was the one that commissioned it or said the okay on some level. And the second part is the fact that the pastors were there. They blessed the statue. Like, what is that all about? You're adding an element of religion. Now you're adding an element of a pro. You're basically like co-signing it and saying like God wants you to have the statue of yourself, Trump. It's like that's kind of what like the co-signing is adding on top of there. That's why I would say just go back to the post he just read off of like trying to defend it. And Michael Knowles is obviously going to try to defend it here too. But it's like if you're, again, your conscience convicted you enough to write out and have to say all these verses of like why it's okay and acceptable, you already lost. You already lost. If it was easily defendable, you wouldn't have to say anything at all.
So what's the issue? The issue is that, like, maybe the issue is the blessing, but is it wrong to ask for God's blessing? I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for God's blessing.
But what are you, Michael, what are you asking them to bless? What are you asking them to bless? Is he going to say that?
Is there? We ask for God's blessing all the time. We ask for God's blessing over our dinner, over our breakfast.
Okay. Whoa. We give thanks. We give thanks for the food that we have been allotted and allowed to have. What? Bro, what is happening, dude? Like now I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of catching the drift of why Marcus is so pissed off. Like, what kind of defense is this?
Is that wrong? No, what's wrong? What's wrong with this in the minds of some people is that they think that these religious leaders, evangelical Protestants and Jews, are creating a golden idol to worship. But the pastor, the evangelical pastor who led the dedication, said, no, we're not creating this as an idol to worship. We're just honoring Trump. This is a symbol of patriotism, courage, and gratitude, and resilience. And honor is not worship, respect is not idolatry, celebration is not bowing down to a false god. I love this.
So he's like, maybe he's like not getting it, but it's not like that. The expectation is now because they've blessed the statue, Paul the White's going to be getting a tour bus of people. We're going to come in, everybody. We're all going to go touch the statue. Make sure we go pray at the statue. Like, that's not what people were saying. But the statue is an extension and it's a physical embodiment of the fact that these people do worship Trump. Many people do put in that he's got the mandate of heaven. He said that earlier today, he's saved by the grace of God. Yeah, but I don't agree with that. And I actually hold truer to where Corey Mueller said on the other side. It's the inverse, which is, no, perhaps God allowed Trump to not be harmed by that bullet as judgment on this nation. And I think that actually holds a bit more water to it than this idea that he's here to save America, because it's very clear, I see what is, I see what you've done for Israel. I wish I only had that.
Because this is an excellent opportunity to understand icons. Since antiquity, all the way up through the modern era, there have been certain controversies, iconoclast controversies. Is it okay for Christians to make images of Christ or of angels or of anything else? And this is litigated because, in the Bible, God says, don't make any graven images of anything in heaven. But then God also specifically commands the Israelites to make golden statues of cherubim, of angels. So is God contradicting himself? No, I think God is explaining what we're talking about here.
And iconoclasts hold a much more restrictive belief on that. I mean, iconoclasts are like, nothing, like zero, zilch, nada, nothing. So there is a wing. Ultimately not nearly as. I don't know how prominent iconoclasm is anymore or nowadays. I'm sure there still are iconoclasts, but it does seem to be a bit of a thing of the past anymore.
Explaining the distinction between an idol to worship and an image, which is for honor, for respect, for celebration. We are physical creatures, so all of our communications and our thoughts are mediated by images. Even if you close your eyes and you're praying, you can't help but make images in your mind. So it's not the images themselves that are wrong. It would be giving undue worship to an image, a created thing, giving to that thing the worship that is due to God alone. A lot of times, it's funny because I don't think there were any Catholics at this dedication, but it's the Catholics who are accused of worshiping Mary, the mother of our Lord, or mother of God, or venerating the saints. We shouldn't be venerating the saints.
Mr. Moss brings up a good point. Protestants hate the icons of the saints, but a gold statue of Trump, it's like, yeah, it's fair game. And I've never understood the Protestant beef with it either. Especially when you there's examples even inside this was brought to my attention not too long ago, and forgive me because I can't directly recall which book of the Bible it is from, but there is a moment in time in which that when Jesus is not present, I do believe people do ask for Mary to pray for them on her behalf. Like, I'm probably rather incorrectly recalling what I'd seen. But the overall is like, you are praying for someone to intercede on your behalf, right? And that's basically what you're doing when you're praying, when you're praying to Jesus, you're essentially praying to him to intercede for you on your behalf before the Father, right? No one comes through me except through Jesus Christ to the Father. So I've never really had a strong, obviously I would like to explore some of these kind of thoughts and these arguments that go back and forth, but I've never had this kind of knee-jerk reaction that many other Protestants seem to have to it. And yeah, Uncle House says, yes, we're supposed to pray in front of the statue like it's the same as the Ark. It's and it's like that, I think that's what Michael is like making the argument for. And I don't think that's what most people have the irritation of. I think it's the fact that the statue represents to most people, it's just an extension. It's downstream from the fact that people do worship Trump, that they do idolize him, that many people do put him up on an extended pedestal, if not also putting him up on the same level of Jesus Christ. And I think you see that with Paul the White, and it's not even just Paul the White. There's been many other people who have said this, right? he's doing the work of Jesus. He's carrying out providence. He's, they attach that rhetoric to him, and it's hard for many people to not see it, as they are clearly idolizing Trump to a degree of which I would consider to be sinful. And so Michael Knowles' kind of flippant defense of this is a little disappointing.
We shouldn't be making these images. And what is the Catholic response? Which is often to evangelical Protestants, but some other people too. The Catholic response is, no. Honor is not worship. Respect is not idolatry. Celebration. Our processions where we process with either a statue of the Blessed Mother, or certainly a Eucharistic procession actually is an act of worship because it's Christ himself really truly present in the Eucharist. But let's say a Marian procession, the old images, you don't see it as much anymore, of Catholics walking around with a statue of Mary. We're not worshiping that. Celebration is not bowing down to a false god. Respect is not idolatry. Honor is not worship. I love that.
Or the comparison of Trump to Mary or to any of the saints is like apples and oranges, forgive me. Trump is not, is Trump even Christian? Like most people would just say no. Like he's definitely not. Like he carries water for the Christian crowd, sure. He speaks on it every so often, sure. But is he, if you're asking my personal opinion, I would say no, I don't think so at all. I don't really know if he may have some kind of relationship with Jesus Christ. It's one thing I don't like talking about, because I don't like putting casting aspersions, but I will say, I think most people would say, there's no way, this guy's definitely, how could he be? What is it? What are his fruits? What speaks to this? So comparing Mary, the father, Lord have mercy, the mother of Jesus Christ, is that's not a comparison. Trump is not on the level of Mary. I'm sorry, and that probably would rub Protestants the wrong way too, but it's I'm sorry, Mary has a very specific role in the Bible. She was selected and chosen by God to carry, she the virgin birth. Trump is nowhere near that. Nowhere near this. Even the saints, nowhere near that. And sure, in a position of power, yes, but not in the same way that the saints would have been recognized. Not carrying the same water, doing the same things, leading the same people to salvation, not even close at all.
I'd love the opportunity. I'm not weighing in on the aesthetics of the statue. I haven't seen it up close. Maybe it's a nice statue. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen it up close. But asking God's blessing on our president, or God's blessing even on a place or a thing, totally within Christian tradition, and paying respect to our leaders, honoring our leaders, creating depictions of our leaders, nothing wrong with that at all. And I hope it helps people to understand why we honor the saints. To venerate is to honor and to respect. It's those exact words that the pastor's talking about here. We venerate them. If we venerate a courageous president, all the more so should we venerate the people who have dedicated their lives to God with special sanctity. Makes perfect sense to me. Love it.
Trump has dedicated. Man, would it not be nice to live in Michael Knowles' world for a day? Everything's just so crystal clear and so easy and obvious, guys. That's just kind of crazy, and it should be told, I've not spent much time at all paying attention to really anything from Knowles or Matt Walsh. Really, I find it to just be a waste of time, if anything, and I think Matt Walsh is talking about how, Martin Luther King was pushed by Marxists. Dude. Oh, yes. I love it. I love that we can't get anywhere meaningful with these people. It's just, to me, it just feels like it's such a joke. We had another, some more from Patrick Bet-David. He had a clip that came out today, and I was a little taken aback by it, to be honest with you. But he was posing, and, you guys tell me if you want me to play the clip or not. I don't know if any people have seen this. I'll put it up on screen, though, for you to see. So Patrick Bet-David, for some reason, is now pushing this escalation from Iran. I'm not sure why. I didn't watch the clip. But it's from PBD, and he says, Iran may have found the world's biggest weakness. This is what Iran just figured out. 97% of the internet that we use travels through underwater cables. 10 trillion a day is going through that cable, and 2 of them go through the Strait of Hormuz. Now they're talking about how they're going to mess with the cables. If they mess with the cables, guess who's going to be impacted by this economically? Everybody, the whole world. So This is like the first I'm hearing of this, and it's coming from Patrick Bet-David, which is, gives me a bit of a cause for concern, for one. Two, we know what Patrick Bet-David is. Patrick Bet-David is a grifter. Patrick Bet-David is a grifter in the sense that he will do whatever is required to get the most views on him and get money and make money. That's what the business is built on. Valuetainment. Attached to Sosnick as well as Vinny Ohana, although Vinny is seemingly non-existent anymore nowadays, and I always forget the fourth guy. But is now we're pushing, we're going to push stories that we're going to scare people that their internet may get taken away because of Iran. It almost, to me, it's speaking to an argument just to get the average person who maybe already wasn't concerned about what was going on. Maybe they couldn't find a way to view how it may affect them or care in any kind of meaningful way. And now we're going to get them to care now about Iran, get their attention now on, we got to stop Iran because they may take your TikTok away. They may take your Netflix away. They may take your, is that what this is building up into? You know what even speaks to that from Iran's side of the aisle that they've done anything like this or moved closer to it. And maybe we will take a listen to this. Maybe we'll see what evidence that Patrick Bet-David has on this. Let's take a listen.
It says, Trump says Iran is on life support, right? And there is one thing nobody is talking about in regards to Iran. And I want to know if you've read any of this stuff here.
That hat, for one, super gay message. And two, looks dumb on PBD. I will say that.
Tom, while I go through it. Do you know when people think about where we get internet from? Do you know 97% of the internet that we use, to upwards of 99%, is it satellites or is it underwater?
Cable.
It's cable. And cable is where?
Underwater.
Underwater. 97% underwater. You know how many thousand miles? There's 750,000 miles of cable underwater. Each mile to build these is between $400,000 to $1.1 million to create each mile of this. So go 750,000 miles of cable. Okay.
That's what I'd thought, that it already happened earlier in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. Yeah, it seemed like it didn't affect any of us at all. And the way it's worded makes it seem like 97% of the cables run through the Strait of Hormuz is what he's saying. And that's not being correct at all. I don't think that's correct at all.
What the hell does this have to do with anything? If you want to pull up these cables, Rob, on what they look like, the underwater cables for internet, and if you go to that one right there, go to that one right there. Can you, no, the one, that's what it looks like, just so you know. But go to the fourth image, right there. Can you make that bigger? Okay. This is what Iran just figured out.
Huh.
You see all these cables where they're going through? 60%. Go zoom in a little bit more.
Okay,
That's a pretty shitty quality picture, but we'll do the best with it, Rob.
Just to connect
zoom in a little bit more
market.
to India. Do you see that bottom left, right in the middle of India, that zero dot right there? Go a little bit higher to show you which one it is. Go right there. Go down a little bit with that arrow, Rob. Can you put it right to the left? Right there. That one right there is Mumbai. 60% of India's internet comes from Mumbai and the cables that go through there. Two of the
Oh, dude. If it's India's internet, bro, I'm rooting for Iran, bro. Cut those cables. Cut them off. No more Indian internet access to America. Now, dude, now I'm rooting for Iran. Thank you, Patrick.
connections of these cables go through where? Strait of Hormuz. So Iran has realized, wait a minute, if this collapse, by the way, $10 trillion a day is going through that cable. And they figured out and they said, oh, you guys want to play ball, so guess what we want to do? They've not just been asking about the $2 million per ships that come through a day from Strait of Hormuz, which is 2 million times 60 ships is what?
And he says Iran has realized, I can't imagine that Iran has been carrying out basically a very impeccable defense against the United States, given what they're working with and what they're up against, and that they've not previously considered doing something like that. He's speaking as if like he had a direct conversation with somebody from the IRGC. Like, yeah, we figured out. We were like, what are these massive cables underwater? We found one after a mine went off. We attached to a dolphin. And, we were like, what even is this? It's very like, this is nonsense. This is literal nonsense. It's a nice segment for a show, but it's literal nonsense.
$120 million a day times 30 days. That's a lot of money for these guys to be making, right? If you think about, is it 2 million times 60, $120 million, right?
Yeah.
They're not only asking for that because they want to say, we want to control Strait of Hormuz. But guess what now they're asking? They made 3 requests. 1, they want to take control of the cables that goes through Strait of Hormuz. 2, the entire, if it breaks and fixes, you can't use any other company except for Iran to be able to fix the cable. So they want the business to go through them. And he's now asking, do you know who has cables on Strait of Hormuz? Which companies? Microsoft, Apple, Meta has built their own cables that's going through there. India all of a sudden comes out and is like, wait a minute. We cannot, because Iran's like, hey, we found out about these cables. If you guys mess with it, because back in the days, what China knew how to do was, even Russia trained on this. China had a unit, and Russia as well, where they taught their people on how to go underwater to mess with these cables. And in many instances, they'll go and they'll drop the anchor, okay, in areas that they know where these cables are at, and the ship gradually moves. You know what all of a sudden happens when anchor gets stuck in the cable? Boom, cuts the cable. All of a sudden, the country loses internet. You know for how long? A long time, because it's not like you call AAA and somebody.
You know for how long? A long time. This guy, dude. This guy's he's just talking out his ass on this one. Tick says if you're an Indian basket in India, you're going to pay billions of dollars to run that cable because your Indian hedge funds make $0 not trading in microseconds. Well, I would imagine internet companies work similarly, especially because they're a bit more globalized now than what they used to previously. But no, I'll let you guys in on some inside baseball on this as someone whose father does work at one of the highest levels there at Spectrum. And what they do, and so my dad was explaining this like for a hospital, for example. Like a hospital, if they were with Spectrum, let me get mouse that out of here. If you're with Spectrum, what ends up happening is they actually pay more. So like a hospital actually ends up like paying more. And I forget how the exact nature of the contracts get signed, but like for a hospital, it's like they can't deal with internet outage like whatsoever. And so they have something basically inside of these contracts, which is like these insane amounts, which I think he was saying for like one of the areas near me. If they lose internet, it's like Spectrum owes them like $3 million per 60 seconds they were without internet. I mean, it is like insane numbers. So I would have to imagine there's other setups similar to that, given the nature of the way that some of the internet usage for some companies is a feature, or, it is a necessity for some things. Whereas in other elements, it's like significantly needed, like at a hospital for, up-to-date information, or for like law enforcement and things like that, where it's like, a internet outage for like 30 seconds can be a difference between life and death. So, I would imagine there's some similar kind of setup there, where I won't imagine like many of the people or the companies will be bearing the cost. It'll be the internet provider will be bearing the cost. And I'm sure that they probably have some level of contract with the government, where if the government's responsible for the defense of like the cables of which is given the internet, if that's even, their source of where the internet's coming from. It just seems like he's just literally talking out of his ass completely. And what's up, Tomfo? Yeah, he's a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a number, here's some random numbers that make literally no sense at all. So we'll move on. We'll move on to something maybe less serious. But this is funny. There's a clip from Beardson from yesterday, I believe, and I thought it was really funny. So the caption says that Beardson cooked. I'll take a listen to this. Let me get rid of this. I forget what it was even about, actually. And I don't even know what he's commenting on, but we'll take a listen. Here's another clip here. Here we go.
It just feels good to always win. It feels good to always win. Dude, the arc of the universe bends towards us. It really does. How could you not say that God is not on our side? You can't deny it at this point. It is inevitable. God is on our side. Everyone that rises against us crumbles and fails. Everything that we say becomes vindicated. What we believe in is greater than anything that these people can even comprehend, okay? There is no doubt about it anymore.
This is true.
The arc of the universe bends towards Nick Fuentes. The arc of the universe bends towards Beardston Beardley. The arc of the universe bends towards the Groypers. The arc of the universe bends towards America First, and God is on our side. There's no denying it. It's over. It's done. You spent 5 days attacking us and calling us all feds. You aligned yourself to a leader, and he turns out to be everything that you hate. It is indefensible. It is over. You lost, and we won. It's over. No more Leonardo Joni. No more Jake Shields. Nothing. Shut the fuck up forever and go away. Crumble into dust and get blown away by the arc of history. You don't belong here.
True.
It's over.
True.
You lost, we won, and we'll continue to win without you. Goodbye.
True. Everything said there is true. And let me be real for a second here too. We're locking it down here at Atlas Thug. This is I say it with me. I am a Groyper. We are all Groypers now. Okay. Stay with me. And we're changing it, right? What is it? It's we're not doing the RKD anymore. What did he say? What did he say yesterday? Pray and love are one of them. This is another one I can't remember. Regardless, who cares? We are the winners. We are America First. We are Groypers here. We've locked it down. That's what this channel has become. That's where we are. This thumbnail is misleading. Well, if you stop into the stream like an hour after I already covered the story, I would imagine that. This thumbnail is misleading. It's like, well, yeah, I already covered that like an hour ago. I didn't even know I've been going for like 2 hours and 15 minutes. You're right. You know what I should do? I should have my thumbnails be so nonsensical. I'm just going to throw literally, I should just take a cut out of Beardson. I should take a cut out of Chud. I just put just a bunch of random shit on there. And I could say, hey, like, see, you talked about this random thing on there. Like, oh, how dare I? Lovely. Yeah. But that is probably going to be it for today, to be honest with you. There's a couple other things I saw. I don't really care for them, to be honest. Pearl Davis is starting up another, like she's doing like a should Christian women obey their husbands, which I thought maybe we'll have some content inside of there. Ultimately, it's just kind of, it's tired content at this point. It's just the same old like woman showing up and being like, oh, wow, obey is a really strong word. You know, and some random husband's showing up like, I don't know. I don't know. It's, you know, it's more of the same on that end. And, you know, I think what we're going to see is really, you know, the next couple of steps. Perhaps we're going to continue to see and watch America First continue its separation away from what I would consider the low IQ anti-Semitism. And I don't even know if that's a fair way to characterize it. I think it's just a anti-Semitism only. That seems to be the crowd, right? Anti-Semitism only. It's like the only value. So we don't care about Jesus. We don't care about Christianity. It's like we care about literally only anti-Semitism. We only care about that. It's like, I'm sorry, my tenets are much more robust and comprehensive than being anti-Israel. It's like, I am anti-Israel, and what else? Kind of the point I was making in the debate as well previously with Zeb Boykin is I think you need a bit more to collectivize around, especially when he was asking, you know, were the Crusades justified? And it's like, obviously, yes. But what were the Crusades collectivized around? What did they coalesce around? What was that? It was for the survival of the Christians. It was for Christianity's defense. It was less so about the defense of the, you know, the explicit white identity, which I think is a bit of a weaker thing to coalesce around, ultimately. We're probably going to see a bit more of that. Curious to see where else it goes as well, too. You know, the Iran war, it's going to be, you know, we're going to be getting hot and bothered here soon. Again, I would imagine very shortly. Seeing with you know, well, but I guess we'll see where the China summit goes, and perhaps maybe we'll get negotiations there. But I think that will then invoke a new problem, which is to see what ultimately happens with Taiwan. Maybe it'll be a hostile takeover. It's something I've not paid attention to for a while now, although Taiwan's always kind of on the radar ultimately. And so, you know, maybe we will get some kind of benefit out of the summit with China. Perhaps this will put Iran in a better position. I mean, I guess we can only really hope at this point, because I think without that, we are going to see a continuation of, again, the military conflict. And to what end, I literally have no idea. But I don't think it puts America on a good path. And I think, like what they had said, some of the warnings from the Pentagon, some of the military officials, that this ultimately is probably going to put the United States in a position to have to prioritize which wars are more important to them. And that's going to put us in a position of which Ukraine and you know, Ukraine's ultimately going to get no support, or at some point going to get yanked at support, or relegated to much less support, so that we can continue keeping our pace with what's going on in the Middle East with Iran. And so that ultimately invokes a new batch of problems to deal with. Perhaps maybe lesser so, but it will be a new things to have to tangle with. But with that, I appreciate everybody for being here, and thank you guys as always. Support the show. Support Athenor Metallurgy. Athenor Metallurgy. You can find them at athenorllc.com. They got a bit of a new website there for 3D prints. Just like I held up on the camera, you also have some kind of like these more tokenized items, like the Jerusalem coin cross that he made for me. Which I have in the package there. You can put it on a chain, on a keychain. I'm sure many other kind of different things that they have there that I probably not even thinking of. As well as like light boxes you can see, but not really see, that's back there behind me, with the offensively accurate logo, and you could slide it in and out and get new ones in there. And tomorrow, I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but tomorrow I'm either going to be going on Raymond's stream tomorrow, which he's been basically temporarily banned from YouTube. So if I go on Raymond's stream tomorrow, it will be on his Kick page. And perhaps maybe I will invite him and I'll host him here. But me and Raymond will be streaming together tomorrow. I'll be revisiting and seeing where he's at with his journey with everything going on. Probably talk a little bit about the YouTube algorithm, some of the AI stuff. Perhaps he can give me a bit of a breakdown of what's going on and with the quartering and Jeremy. That's where he's been putting a lot of his attention at, some of the drama been going on with them. I don't know if you guys had seen this or not either. I really didn't want to spend time covering some of it. It's just, you know, lower frequency drama. Not to say anything about Raymond at all. But Jeremy, you know, we covered the fact that he deleted his X account. Maybe I didn't, but you know, Jeremy doesn't exist on X anymore. So as far as I can understand, whether he deactivated or just deleted his account. But also, there's now suspicions that people you know, bailed on him, abandoned ship, and supposedly he had a stream start and then just buffer for a few minutes and then disappear. I believe yesterday. And so far, nobody's been seen on stream with him. So no HCB, you know, Hannah Claire, etc. Or what's the other one? Melanie Mack. So curious what's going on with him. Saw some other reports that talking about how he's only bringing in like $3K a month, but he has $10K a month in overhead expenses, stuff like that. So we'll see where that's going with that. We could talk a bit more about the incel problem as well. I'm curious where he is overall with that. And sure, hopefully it'll be fun. I would imagine it'll be fun. Raymond's always kind of fun. And I enjoy poking fun at people who, you know, have different view sets, different viewpoints. And he's a nice guy. He's been nothing but nice to me. And we'll see where it goes. And perhaps we can have a riveting and good conversation. But that'll be for tomorrow. And I believe that's it. Gorka Report should be on for this Saturday as well. It'd be me and Josh. And regardless, I do plan on streaming tomorrow as well. Even on top of doing the collab with Raymond. So I don't know what time that will be. I'll have to get a better timing from Raymond and we'll see what happens with that. But with that, I appreciate it greatly. Thank everybody for being here. Make sure you smash the like button if you have not already. Subscribe if you haven't already, obviously. And yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it as always. And can't do any more deportations. You know, Trump shut it down. But we will ask the Democrats to impeach this entire administration. We will hope, we will beg, please, please. Please expose them. Please please help us usher in the next man up who will save this country. And with that, any woman over 150 pounds, you're immediately getting shot from a cannon to Israel. And any woman between 100 and 150 pounds who is unattractive and fat, this is your 90-day notice to lose the weight and figure it out. With that, I appreciate you guys. Everybody have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ